Alrighty, I'm gonna go right over here. Alrighty. I think I could probably turn this up just a tad. Does that sound good? I feel like that probably sounds okay. Alrighty. Let's get started. Oh. Dang. I think I just might have got some. Alright. Green on. Green on. Hello everybody, it's me. The knight right above me. We got 3 more pots coming at you guys. We're here again today. Alright, let's get into it. Like I said, we got 3 more pots. I'll see you guys over there in a second. Green off. There we go. Tilt this over just a tad. I feel this. Orion James, hi, how are you today? I'm doing pretty good. I hope you're doing well too. All right, I'm gonna take some new water. There we go. Today is my birthday party. Yeah, that's awesome. Happy birthday, Orion James. That's pretty cool. Oh, tomorrow's your birthday. That's awesome, yo. I feel like I remember when I used to celebrate my birthday, especially when I was younger, I'd have like, we'd go somewhere like a laser tag or something. I remember that was always something that was pretty cool when I was young, you know? I don't know if you've ever been doing laser tag before, but that stuff, it's a good vibe. All right, pushing this down. I don't have I wonder if I need a, I'm going bowling with some friends in the neon black light. Ah, you gotta wear like white shoes. I always think of that white shoes look really cool in those black lights, you know? I feel like I'm gonna get a bunch of clay in my hair. I don't have a hair tie or anything. Oh well. Alright, here we are. We're pushing this in right now. Laser tag is always fun. Yeah, I feel like whenever I played laser tag, I always had people, like, there would always be like a kid who would just chase me around the whole entire time and just would keep lasering me. And I'd be like, bro, like, go play the game. But it was always funny. But here we are. And we're gonna switch over to wheel. There we go. And so I'm gonna go right back down to the bottom, pulling this up. It's okay if it gets a little wobbly on that top. Don't freak out. Slow, calm, cool, and collected. Catch that clay. Then bring that down. You can see at the bottom it's wanting to tear. So I'm just gonna go really slow. I'm going to take my right hand, I'm going to try to find that area where it's falling or ripping, and so I'm going to slowly meet that clay down, right? There we go. Right over to the bottom edge, curl over, right back up again. Sweet. Probably got one more pull up on this one, and then we'll go back down, get it all nice and centered. Yeah, your brother did that? That was so funny. I feel like, yeah, that's a little brother thing to do. Just like chase the older brother around in laser tag and just keep getting them out. Alright, hammer fist right on top, right? And again, I'm having my one hand, I never lose my wrist. As soon as you lose your wrist and you're half the clay you're pushing and then the clay that's coming into you're catching that's when it just gets screwed up, right? You really want to make sure that you can just fix tears. Yeah, I mean, you just gotta be a kind of slow when you see that clay tearing. I think what people do when they see something's wrong with the clay, right? Like whether it's an air bubble or it's anything that feels or looks suspicious, people kind of gravitate towards fixing it right then, right now, right? But a lot of times, if you're just consistent with the way that you're throwing, you know, if you don't freak out when you hit an air bubble and you go right over top of it, you don't have to like address the air bubble. I really never address the air bubbles, right? Or if that clay that you saw when I was coning the clay down, I saw that tear, you know, I'm not going right away to fix it, right? I gotta slowly get there, you know. I don't have to freak out. And I've noticed that as long as I'm really consistent and slow, right? Always moving at kind of that slug pace, right? Whenever I'm doing something to the clay, like my hands are always kind of, I'm never jerking the clay, or my hands are never twitching really fast, right? It's always kind of slow and blending everything into together. I didn't notice it till it tears off, and then I'm like, no, yeah, I feel like I'm always kind of trying to look at my finger. If I have my hand on the clay and it's like freaking out, right? Like I don't want, as my hand's on the inside here, like my hand's barely moving at all. So I would say, okay, well I need to get it to a point where it's not moving at all, and then I start to pull, right? It's when it's off-centered or when it's not perfect, and then you go to do something drastic, right? Like pull up a wall, right? That's when you're going to pull up that inconsistencies right into that top surface, right? And so once it's off-centered, if you keep on pulling, you know, it's just going to get more and more off-center, right? So you really got to wait until the clay's not moving really wild, and then you start your pull, right? All right, so camera B. There we go. So again, I'm right to this bottom edge here. I'm going to bring my knuckle right on the inside there, right to the bottom. I'm starting to slowly move my finger up above my knuckle. You see that bump? Not moving, now I start to pull, right? All nice and slow, never too fast, right? I'm always looking for the physical indicators that the clay is ready to move, right? It's always like you're carving a path for irrigation. You're never just like forcing the water from the sky down to where it needs to be, right? The water's going to land where it's going to land, right? But if you can guide it and give it a path, right? That's kind of how I think about throwing. I pretend I'm here for simple pottery tips, but it's actually deep, transcending philosophy that you be preaching. That's so funny. Take your time repairing rips, don't panic. Yeah, that's true. How many times have you heard that, haha, you make pot jokes? Not too many. I feel like people don't really, you know, talk about I make like pot jokes, really. I feel like there's a lot of other jokes that people tend to use instead. All right, here we go, right to the bottom edge. I'm finding this bump, right? As soon as I find that bump, or that path, right, I want to see that through, right? I'm not going to change up the goal halfway through. The goal was take that bump all the way up, and so that's what I'm going to do. Even though I see that little bump kind of like right in this middle area, right there, I'm not changing what I'm doing, right? I'm going to slow the wheel down. I'm going to finish the pull, right? I don't want to just hurry up and try to fix that area right there. You know, like I'll just let that be. And as long as I'm consistent and I'm not really torquing that top, right, I can finish the pull. Right. Yeah, we're mature here. That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, y'all, I've been posting so often this year, and so like you'd be surprised the sort of comments I get. it just doesn't affect me, right? Like I know what I'm doing, I know why I'm here. Like anything that's different from my path, or I just don't even see it. It's not even in my mind, right? It's like the same thing. If like you mess up or something, that's already in the past. You can't spend too much time thinking about the mess up. You got to just think about, okay, what can I do differently next, right? And that's how you grow, right? And so I think for a long time I was just doing that, and then all of a sudden I started getting better. All right, we're not going to do too much. We're actually going to keep that kind of up like that. I think that kind of looks pretty. It's almost like a flower blossom or something. My hair's getting in my eyes a lot, so that's kind of obnoxious. I look kind of edgy. I look like I'm in a rock band or something. Okay. This little chunk here, right to this bottom edge. Clean that edge of that off. Right underneath that edge. Slowly pick that lip up. And we're getting ready to get our pinky right underneath. Start pulling this up. Right? And when I'm pulling this up, I'm not really going out with that pull on that skirt. I'm actually trying to pull that up. And sometimes I'm even going inwards, right? I'm almost like I'm taking this angle as if it was a upside down ice cream cone. I'm trying to get to that tip of that ice cream cone, right? That's kind of how I think about that. I think this one, you know what? I don't see tendrils on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we got 7. And kind of give one in there, skip one in there, skip one in there, skip one in there. That looks fine. Just add just a little bit of variation. It's a 7, so it's not going to be even, but just having some variation on that bottom will look nice. Why don't you just leave it, just like the dish shape? I've never seen you leave the bottom part. Interesting. Yeah, I feel like, I could leave it, but I think that becomes, it's a starting point, right? Like a cylinder is a starting point for me, or like that even dish, that's a starting point. And so I think a lot of the times where I'm making things, it's always these things that I'm doing, I get to the point where most people would want to stop, and then that's when I start, right? And so I think that's where you discover things. That's where you carve your own sort of path. I've always thought like it's pretty easy to carve or to follow a path that's already been made, but it's way harder to make your own path, right? And so I think a lot of it is like, even though sometimes it might look better if I just left it alone, that's already been researched, that's already been found, right? Does that kind of make sense? So that's kind of why, but I'm sure there will be one where it really makes sense that I do that. I think I may have done it maybe once on those. Oh, I see. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, after this year, maybe if I try to do something different, you'll see a lot more of me doing different things like that, right? But for the trees and for the idea behind them, I think I got to keep on trying different stuff. Okay, here we're gonna go. Number 2, push this down ever so slightly. Right down to this edge. Pick that clay right up. Go right back down to the bottom. Pick that clay right up. I've already got one more. I did want to ask where your classes were, like the ones I teach. I mean, I live in Michigan, so I work at a couple different art centers. And so I'm sure if you lived in Michigan and you went to an art center, you'd probably see me or know somebody who knows me, or see someone who knows me. It's okay. I feel like my goal is I actually don't want to teach any longer. My goal would be to leave those art centers. I think a lot of times I don't think I'm really doing a good job teaching in those places in person, right? I think there's actually more potential for me to teach better, like on my own time and my own terms, right? There's a lot of times where they're like, hey, can you teach this sort of class? Can you do this thing? Right? And it's not really what I want to teach or what I want to do, right? And so I think the goal is that eventually I can do teaching, but in a different manifestation than what I'm doing right now. But you got to do the things that you got to slowly do the things that you don't want to do, so then eventually you can do the things that you want to do, right? Like you got to keep doing the things you don't want to do until all of a sudden the things that you're doing and you want to do start like financially working out, right? And so I'm just going to keep on, doing the things I don't want to do like I love it until, the things that I do want to do start working out for me, right? And I think that's like, it takes a while. I'm still a pretty young dude, so I know it's going to take a little bit, but as long as I make a small step every day, that's all you can really do, right? I think as long as you can like end your day off and you look back at your day and you said, okay, well, I may have taken, 2 steps back, but at least I took 1 step, forward, or I gained 1 step at the end of the day, right? Like, I think that's really the goal. I agree. I taught a class and I didn't like how they gave me an outline of how to present the info, right? I think it is, I totally agree. Like, I think too, you want me to teach a pottery class. Well, most people who are wanting to take a pottery class, they want to learn like traditional pottery, right? They don't want to learn Pottery Demon pottery, right? Even though some of it overlaps, I think there's some things that are pretty different too, right? Like I think a lot of times, I'm not making any functional objects. I'm trying to discover something through throwing rather than discovering objects through throwing, or functional objects at least. It's nice to share the info in a way that you can be affectionate about. Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of times the biggest thing that's missing with teachers nowadays is like true passion in what they're doing, and sometimes maybe not even passion. It's just totally obsessive discipline towards something, right? I think like when people are really disciplined about something and they get to share that discipline to others, that's where like you can really learn a lot. Whether it's like you want to do the same exact thing, or I think sometimes just by seeing someone's discipline towards something, you learn something about yourself, because you can kind of look inward and be like, well, is that kind of what I want, right? Maybe not, right? But even though, like, watching that person, go through their discipline, you still got to learn something about yourself, right? You learned that you didn't want to do that thing, or you learned that you did want to do that thing, or you learned, oh, well, maybe I got to think about what path that I want to go down. And so I think that's kind of a cool thing about it. Just watching you is enough teaching for me. Haha. Raise his hand. I want to learn Pottery Demon pottery. Thank you. That's fun. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we'll see how it goes, right? So again, there's that wobble, but I'm still going to finish off the pole. Try to not put much tension on that top. There we go. Alright, I got some hair in my mouth now. So let's see if I can get this out without putting clay in my mouth. Oh, there we go. I got some clay on my face, but that's okay. I feel like I'm just in a perpetuate tasty hair, right? Isn't it? I feel like that's the thing with having long hair. I do think it's like, most of my life I had short hair, right? And I'm telling you right now, short hair is the best, right? But I think it's during my lifetime, really want to see like what my genetics result in regards to like my hair, right? I think it's kind of a cool thing, you get a body, right? Why not try to find some stuff out about it that you wouldn't have, that only you can understand, right? Or only you can sort of figure out, right? It's almost viewing your body as like a research project. Seems kind of weird, but for me, it's pretty cool. Like, I like to see, oh, wow, my hair kind of gets a little bit, like blonde towards the edges, maybe because it's getting sun bleached or something, right? Or, oh, wow, my beard hair, it gets really wiry and coily. I could stick pencils through it and it just stand still, right? And so it's going to be kind of fun to see the results of that over a really, really long period of time. And then after that, I'll just go bald, Know thyself, right? Somebody said that. That's funny. Yeah, I think so. You get to know yourself more intimately than any other human being in the whole entire world, right? I like to kind of think that your mind and your body are like two separate entities, right? And so you got to somehow have a conversation with those two things, and you need to learn from each other, right? Even though it's just all about learning self. Might sound a little bit weird or bipolar, but I really do think your body and your mind need to be in conversation with each other. It's like, if you can't stand being alone in a room with yourself, right? You start like trying to look for that, like look for things that can distract you from it, right? And so I think it's really important to be able to just, be your own sort of best friend, because sometimes, you're going to need that, right? You're with your mind, you go to sleep with it, you wake up with it, you're there with it every single step of your whole entire life. So you got to start, training that relationship, I think, at any age, right? But preferably the younger you are and the more you train your kind of understanding of self, I feel like not the easier life will be, but the more manageable, life will become if you really know yourself, right? If you know how you're going to act in certain ways, and okay, well, maybe I can do this a little bit better, right? And so life becomes, I don't think life should be peaceful, but I feel like you should be, at least find peace within yourself somehow. It's good to have coordination, yeah. Not bald, man. I'll be bald one day. I feel like that's gonna be funny. Like, I'm gonna have really long hair, but I'll be bald on the top. I feel like I'll look like some mad scientist or something. So this is number 2. I really like the way that these ones kind of tuck in at that top just a little bit, right? And so I think I'm really vibing with the ones today. Got one more. All right, let's get the clay out of my face. And they both don't listen, your body or your mind. Well, yeah, I mean, from our conversations, you still seem like you're a young person, so like I think you still got a lot of time to figure that stuff out. Like, I still am not all together yet, right? But I think, the moment you feel like you're stopped growing, right? I feel like that's not a good place to be. You always want to feel like you can grow in some manifestation, right? But I think when I was like, I didn't really start trying to think and look internally, right? Until I was maybe like 22. Yeah, that's when I felt like I really was like trying to figure out answers. Everything before that, I think I was really just like coasting, But I think that's part of it. Like, when you're really young, you don't have responsibility, so enjoy that time when you don't, right? And that obviously depends on, where you're born and stuff. But at least in my life when I was younger, I didn't have many responsibilities, so I really enjoyed, not having that. Then when you're a young adult, I think you're trying to find your responsibilities. And then when you're a full-fledged adult, you know, you take care of your responsibilities, right? Alrighty. Your sweet 16, cool. You'll be able to drive, yo. That would be awesome. I feel like that was like such a cool moment for me. Although my mom just kind of made me pick up groceries, I feel like during that time. But it was kind of cool getting to like go places, right? I remember when I was when I was about that age, that's when like Pokemon Go was like really popular. And so like I remember I would go to this, there was like a cemetery that had a Pokemon Go stop. And I still remember that on one of the graves there was like a deck of cards, right? Like engraved on the gravestone. So I assume that guy probably liked poker or something, but I thought it was really interesting. The road gives me so much anxiety. Well, yeah, I mean it should, like, I mean it's a dangerous thing, but it's also like a really amazing thing that we get to experience in this generation of living. Right? The fact that we can drive in a big, huge vehicle and we can travel more than any other human, like that are our predecessors. We could travel more than they could ever even dream of in their life, right? It's an amazing thing. Yeah, Florida roads, yo. Yeah, my friend is from Florida, so I understand. He always tells me that driving is kind of a pain. It'll be okay, yo. You just kind of gotta keep on doing it. I think I do my best thinking when I'm in the car, right? Like, to one of the places I work at, it's like a 45-minute drive to an hour, right? So I spend a lot of time in the car, and that's a good time to think about things when you're in the car, or catch up with your friends. Your grandma tells us it's Mario Kart out there. That's so funny. Don't get hit by a blue shell, yo. Alright, right down to the bottom. Slowly pulling this up. I could feel like this clay wasn't totally centered. Whoa, wow, one of the pots had sort of collapsed and fell. So you'll see that in a little bit. Looks kind of interesting. That's funny. Yeah, I think at 16, you know, I was still playing, like I really liked this game called League of Legends, right? And I wanted to be a professional League of Legends player, right? That dream I kind of let die, but I think I didn't really start getting into the art stuff until I was, you know, maybe like a senior in high school is when I really start to take it seriously. And I didn't even start pottery until really started throwing, I guess, until I was a junior in my undergrad, right? So I was still pretty new to this stuff. So I always think just be open to your life, kind of your plans changing, right? You're at the stage of your life now where like it's good to take risks right now, right? Obviously don't like go too crazy with it, right? But when you're young, you should experiment with like different things and possibilities for what you see yourself doing in the future. A little water right at the bottom here. I'm gonna find this little bump again. It's too thin right in the middle part. That's okay. I just realized your nails aren't that long. Does that help with throwing, doesn't it? Yeah, well, I realized that my nails kind of just stay really, really short nowadays. I think what happened is my nails, I used to have the way I would throw, I would scratch my nails against the bat quite a lot, and then my nails would get, they would be shaved down all the way on like an angle. Like all my nails were on an angle. Yeah, they don't dig in the clay. Some people say it's a really big problem having long nails. A lot of the people I teach that come with long nails, they always talk about how painful it is or not painful, but annoying their nails get. But someone said, I tried, laugh aloud, but it gets costly. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Your nails? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Making sure these are all kind of even there. Okay. Use one finger here. Kind of like the way that these blossoms look. Use one finger to do that. Looks like a UFO. Yeah, this one does. I was trying to use my one hand, and you could kind of see how I was pushing that finger downwards, right? And so, just letting that one did, and then I had my finger stay in that spot, as then my other finger kind of migrated over top of it to kind of finish that pole, right? And so, just trying to be a little bit more fun with what I do on that top there, right? I tried League of Legends, and wow, but it gets costly. Fun times though. Oh yeah, League of Legends, it will. I feel like that game, that devoured like days and days of my life. It's really fun though. There's something like, when you have a good game of League of Legends, I don't think there's a better feeling in the world, Like, I really think that. Like, I don't, I've always said I don't really like ceramics, but I really love League of Legends. But I think for me, like, League of Legends doesn't have a lot of value to me, but ceramics has a lot of value to me, And so I think I've decided that having something that's valuable is way more important than having something that kind of makes me happy, right? Mike TB says, wow, looks like a UFO. It is. That's where they're keeping the aliens, in these pots. Oh, World of Warcraft? Yeah. I never really got into World of Warcraft. You know what do we want to do with this? You know what, we're going to do 2 tendrils on this one too. Or maybe, let's do 1 big tendril. Why is that not? There we go. No, wrong way. Why didn't that not work? There we go. Okay. Now we can spin that back around. And so these are the most annoying, right? Wait a second. What if we do this? No. Okay. I don't know how we like this one. I feel like there's potential there, but I don't think it's really doing anything too crazy. I think I got to do something with the top of this to really kind of have that bottom little bump and the top kind of linked together. We'll have it stick right out over this top. See how it kind of wraps around there? I think that's kind of interesting. Somebody said, hey man, been watching your videos and shorts for a while. Glad I caught you on stream. Do you have any glaze pieces lying around? I don't think we've ever seen any. Well, that looks awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I can show you. I don't have any of the trees. I haven't fired a single one of the trees, but I just finished the pots for today. So let me set this one down, and then let me grab one of my glazed pieces, and maybe I can show you some of those. Let me rinse my hands quick. Yeah, I'll show you two of them that I kind of really resonate with. All right, come on. Now I can get all the hair out of my face too, which will be kind of nice. Yeah, so I think, what should I show you guys? I feel like I should show you something that's more traditional for like my glazing style, and something that's really wacky. So this is one that I really enjoy, right? And so I'll set this one right here. And so I'll kind of spin this one around. I don't have any hair ties lying around. No, I really don't like hair ties. So this is one of my pots. That's a little bit too fast. All right, chill out, chill out, chill out. Yeah, that works. And so this is like, you can see a lot of my glazes are very atmospheric looking, right? I really like copper red glazes, and I like spraying, glossy glazes over top of matte glazes, right? And I think I usually get some pretty wild results with things like that. What else can I show y'all? I feel like maybe, this is always kind of a funky one. Maybe I can show you this one. It's kind of like really foamy glazes. This is one of my weird vases. This was a series before my other pots, right? I was doing these sort of knobs, right? And so this is one of my vases where I'm mixing kind of some atmospheric stuff with some, commercial mason stains. And so that pink is a red mason stain in a spodumene glaze, and you can see on the bottom it's starting to foam. And then I also have a high manganese dioxide glaze on the interior. And I mean, I'll show you guys the interior of this pot. The interior of this pot looks really different, So you can see there's almost no gap, right? And so I think these whole series of these kind of really collapsed vases and kind of responding to the form was pretty different for me for a while, because I didn't do that ever before, right? Let's see if I have any more. Yeah, I feel like some of my favorite ones are those ones though. I can show you my fallen ones, the ones where I'm kind of lit the. That was hard to get out of the back there. All right, and so these, a lot of times we view, the form as, or the firing process is just a surfacing thing. And so this was a series of pots that I did that were all about the form being changed during the firing process. So you're going to see when this, twists around, the glaze didn't really turn out too good, but the form changes. And so you see that flower in the kiln was just straight up, right? It didn't have that bend of that flower on the interior. I would throw these little knobs and then pull handles off the bottom of it, and then that would create these little flowers I would make, and I'd set them into the pots, just straight up. And during the firing process, there's so much weight on the top that they sort of just collapse over, right? And so they create these really beautiful changes in form. And so now instead of the glaze firing being a sort of just a surfacing, it becomes a way to change the forms too, right? And so I thought that was always kind of interesting as well. Somebody said, different camera angle, please. Oh yeah, camera A. Camera A. So you can kind of see. Does that kind of help? I'm not sure. What cone and atmosphere are you firing at? Yeah, I'm always doing, like my favorite is cone 10 stuff, right? Anything that's cone 10 reduction, that's like where I love, that's where I find a lot of joy in my pottery process. I think there's something that's kind of special, and you get kind of these like really funky random moments that you don't really get in other, firing methods, right? Here's another one of those. This is a sectional piece, 2 sections. You're a big fan of cone 10 reduction firing too. Yeah, I really think it's like some of the best, there's nothing like it. Oh, you can't really see the whole thing on this one. But I really like the collapses, right? Collapses have always kind of been a thing. If you like reduction firing, let me see if I can grab this pot. This pot is freaking crazy. I always feel like this one kind of looks like a, after this I gotta end the stream too. I can't be, if y'all get me started on them, I'm gonna just like keep on going, But so this cup right here, all right, let's move this one. This is another one of the flower knobs, right? Camera B. But you can see like, oh my gosh, that copper red bleeding over. I was doing a copper tin, spodumene glaze, and it would just bleed through. The copper red glaze would bleed through the copper tin kind of spodumene glaze and create these beautiful moments. And if you see on this handle here, there's this like galaxy purple that's happening. I've been trying to find my voice in pottery and have been experimenting with very straight lines and angles. But I had a collapse the other day and ran with it, inspired by you. Thank you so much, Major Awesome. That's very nice of you. I think like, I hope I can, all right. Let's see if I can. Right. I'm not really getting good light here though. Dang. Well, you can't really see that purple. That's such a shame. I wish you could see that a little bit better. But right here, there's like this beautiful purple quality here, but here's that up close look at the really vibing with this stuff here. But let's see if I have one that's a little bit lighter that maybe you could. No, I gotta stay true to my promise here. I gotta move forward. Sorry, y'all. It's enough. I still gotta edit and do a bunch of stuff, so I can't be kind of doing that for too long. But I just wanted to kind of stay true to some of that stuff. I think it's important that I can show you. I can imagine the purple. It's a shame the camera can't pick up the depth of the color and the glaze. Yeah, it's really like a galaxy and stars. That's kind of how it looks like to me. Orion Jane says, "Oh, that's large." Oh yeah, that one piece. That one, yeah. I feel like I just took 2 pots that I could get to that medium range, and I put them together, and so there was a cylinder, and then I collapsed them, and so kind of was very different. Thanks for showing the glaze stuff. Yeah, I have a bunch of glaze stuff that I mean, here, camera A, pottery shelf. So all the stuff on those shelves in the back, right? Those are all glazed things. And then I have, you know, cupboards and cupboards and rooms upstairs filled with more glaze stuff. But a lot of it's kind of just average, you know. I didn't really start thinking, I didn't really start getting like really crazy with my glazing until I was in graduate school. I see, yeah. All right, here's number 2. All right, and then we got number 3. This one collapsed on the top here, so I think this one's kind of fun. But yeah, thanks for asking about the glaze stuff, though. I hope one day that I can do some more. Maybe I could do a whole entire thing. Are you running your own gas kiln too, or do you partner up somewhere? Well, I haven't. I work at a couple different art centers, so if I really want to, I have access to that stuff. But right now, I'm just making the things. You know, I'm not trying to glaze. I think for right now, I think a lot of times, for me at least, I was getting too ahead of myself, and I was trying to do too many things at once. And then I sort of learned that, hey, I got to take things in stages. I can't be just pounding through all these, you know, pots and surfaces and forms. I got to take some time to investigate, right? I wasn't giving myself time to investigate before, where now I feel like I'm getting a little bit better at that stuff. For a long time, I was just kind of just not really paying attention. And so I think for now, we'll see. I'll take it one stage at a time, and I might not even glaze these pots for, you know, years, you know, so we'll see how it goes. Let me tilt this over. We're gonna do the pottery review here, and then we'll call it a day. All right, green on, green on, green on. There we go. Hello everybody, we're back again with another pottery review. I think I'm going to start with this one right here. I think that this one was one of the ones today where I really liked. I think this was the trend for today, is have it come out a little bit and then kind of cone back in right a little bit on that top rim. I think every single one of the pots today did that, and they all happened a little bit differently. The one right here though is a lot more standard. It looks really clean. It's a lot more organic. The one on the top, obviously that one collapsed. I really think that one's kind of interesting. I like when the collapse and the rim start acting as a framing device for that interior spiral. I think that those pots are still really beautiful. And then I think the one on the end over here, like personally, I took one tandem and I let the wheel wrap around itself here. And I thought that one looked really nice. And I also think that I went pretty wide on that top, and so it started collapsing just a little bit on one side, but it looks a little bit looser than, you know, the one that's right here. And so those are some of the things I like about the pots today. I'm looking forward to maybe trying some more stuff out on the rims. I think I could do some more wacky stuff, but they're almost like stages, you know, like most uniform, you know, second most uniform, and then least uniform, right? So they're kind of fun. But hey, thank you so much for watching. All the best, and strong mentality. Oh yeah, I have voice commands now. Isn't that fun? Yeah. All right, I'll see you around. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.